Next, we looked at the physical condition that the people reported when they had their near-death experience, or NDE. Surprisingly, only about a quarter, 25%, had what we call clinical death. In other words, they were in the hospital and had a flat line, or they were underwater for 15 minutes or so. Most had, the biggest proportion, 39%, had a serious physical conditions like a traffic accident or bleeding during childbirth or some kind of illness or trauma. Again, a large proportion had non-life-threatening situations such as depression, or during prayer they would have an NDE. This raises the question of whether or not you really have to be near death to have a near-death experience, which again brings into question the whole definition. Anyway, here are the numbers. Clinical death, 24.8%, serious condition, 39.1%, non-life-threatening situations, 24.3%, and several, 11.8%, we could not determine. Next, we want to look at what triggers the near-death experience, what was happening when the person underwent their event. Accidents by far the biggest cause, 24.2%. Illness, 13.4%. Surgery, 11.0%. Heart attack, 5.9%. Meditation, prayer, or spontaneous, 5.7%. Depression, emotional trauma, 5.3%. Childbirth, 4.9%. And the miscellaneous others adds up to 100%. Again, this underscores the fact that sometimes you don't have to be near death. So let's look at the after effects. The biggest change comes in the feelings about death. People feel in effect that there is no death, that death is really a doorway to another dimension. That's the biggest change. Also, people come back with a sense of life purpose. They want to do things. Some people are suicidal when they have their near-death experience and come back with a zest for life, a vigor. Third biggest thing is changes in their belief systems. They might suddenly believe in reincarnation or spirituality or the power of nature. Next is healing and psychic abilities. More than 2/3 come back with such abilities. Big changes in personal relationships. Like, one of the things I've noticed is people will say they don't love their spouse any less, but they seem to love all of mankind more and more like family members. And here are the percentages. You notice these are very large percentages. 83% for changes of feelings about death. All of these way above 50%. Personal relationships, 2/3. So these are major life-changing events. Also very strong are changes about feelings for friends and society. You might see your friends in a different light or see them as spirits as opposed to bodies. Changes in jobs or studies. People often come back and change careers. They're not interested in making money so much anymore. They might go into an altruistic occupation such as childcare or medicine. And also physical after effects. These are things like immune system changes, lower blood pressure. It's hard to describe, but people have a sense of peace and serenity about them. You can see it in their smile. There's a calmness across their eyebrows. Again, this is a catch-all area. And here are the percents. Changes about feelings for friends and society, 64.9%. Job and studies, 46.7%. Physical after effects, 33.3%. And only 1.6% report no changes at all. This is interesting because there are some people that, some scientists are looking at chemicals such as ketamine that can mimic the near-death experience. But when people take these chemicals or drugs, they don't come back with the transformative effects that you see with the genuine near-death experience. We also asked respondents if their experience was wonderful, frightening, or mixed. Of course, the experience itself is multifaceted, so a lot of experiences contain some wonderful and some frightening. Like at the beginning it might be totally black, and that can be frightening. But overall the experience is wonderful, so people will record it as wonderful. 54% report their NDE as wonderful, 37% as mixed, and only 9% as frightening. Very excellent books on near-death experiences. One of my favorites is the original by Dr. Raymond Moody, Life After Life, published in 1976. But since then, some very good authors and medical researchers have looked into the subject. Betty Eadie wrote a popular book called Embraced by the Light. Kenneth Ring is another medical researcher. Kenneth Morse, also a doctor, studied children. Children don't have the cultural or historical biases that adults have. So looking at their near-death experience is very illuminating. PMH Atwater wrote several books. And Daniel Brinkley, again, a very detailed near-death experience from him. Summary of this study. I've written an 18-page report entitled Statistical Summary of Near-Death Experience Reports, available from the International Association of Near-Death Studies. The real value, though, is in the cross-tabulations. This means we can take every question asked on the survey and cross-tabulate it by age or gender or when the experience occurred. And this provides much more depth and detail about near-death experiences. The cross-tabulations are a statistical summary that tells you whether the differences are significant or not. Approximately 200 pages of tables are included in the report. Finally, here's the address for the International Association of Near-Death Studies. They're located in Connecticut. They're currently having an introductory offer for new members at just $25. You receive member benefits as well as a newsletter. Their online presence is www.iands.org. I'd also recommend the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation, nderf.org. And if you've had an experience yourself, we recommend that you contact IANDS and report your experience. Thank you for listening.